Okay, guys, so the clock has turned 1 p.m. and let's start out. First of all, thank you very much for joining our session today, how to get the most out of your employee center. And Sandra, a warm welcome to you. Looking very much forward to your presentation. I know we did something a while ago, a breakfast session here in Aarhus. Yeah, that was really interesting. So looking forward to diving into this. So maybe, Sandra, you could just introduce yourself. I guess that's the way to go.
Yes. Thank you, Mikkel. Yes, I'm Sondre Pedersen. I'm a solution architect at the Cloud People, but I'm also the user experience community lead at the Cloud People, focusing on employee experiences and portals and such. So that's a little bit about me.
Thank you, Sandra. And I'm Mikkel. I'm a sales director here at the Cloud People and the host of today. I guess, Sandra, you'll be the guy doing most of the talking, but I'll be more than happy to facilitate your questions, make sure we get those stuff answered. And of course, I might even come up with a question to you, Sandra, as well. So let's see how that goes. Now you have found your way into Livestorm, so that's a very good beginning. Just to introduce you very briefly to this platform, we have down to the right-hand corner, we have the 4 tabs in the menu. We have people. You can see who else is connected on today's webinar. You can only see the first name due to privacy reasons. We have polls coming in through the webinar. Those will be showcased in the polls tab. It will pop up on your screen and you can vote. And once you have voted, you can see the results coming in real time. Then also you can add your questions into the questions tab. We will collect those and make sure that we get answers, or at least some sort of collection, and then we can get back to you if we don't have the answer at hand, but we'll make sure to go through those you post in there. And then we have the chat function to the rightmost hand. Feel free to use it. I mean, we are here for you today, so whatever comments or questions or, your thoughts, drop them in the chat. We'll be interacting with you guys, and sometimes, you can interact as well, and I think it's really enjoyable for having some engaging conversations around this. So please feel free to use it. It's there for the same reason, and it might even help us to get more direct at the questions you have on your mind today. So with that said, so maybe some of you know the Cloud People, maybe some don't. So allow me just to give you a brief introduction to the Cloud People. We are a global ServiceNow elite partner working only within the ServiceNow space. We are approximately 350 certified consultants as of today, and we're growing. So quite a few experts to dive into. For a sales guy like me, it's always a pleasure having subject matter expert to introduce you to a subject. As of today, Sandra is leading our community around this employee center. We have several others like you, Sandra, working within different aspects. So a great pleasure to have such knowledgeable colleagues. We're working with a lot of different companies within different verticals, from smaller to larger companies. Some where we are the sole provider of ServiceNow consultancy, some where we are tapping in alongside some other vendors. It's really interesting to see how you can really build value from this platform, and how you can transform the user experience, as is basically today's topic, I would say. Anyway, enough about TCP. Of course, always happy to chat away with that. Drop me a note, an email, or reach out, send some sort of message, and I'll be more than happy to go through it. Enough of the introductions. Let's dive into the main course of this session, today's agenda. Maybe Sandra, you would take us through that, because I think you're the right guy to dive into those points listed here.
Yes, for sure. Thank you, Mikkel. Yes, before I start to go through the agenda, I will just publish a poll to ask you if you actually moved to Employee Center yet. So please tell take a second to answer this, also to help me understand where you are in your journey. But first of all, in the agenda, we'll go through just quickly what are the Employee Center and what are maybe the newest feature that have come in the news update. Then we'll go with a demo of Employee Center where I will walk through the portal and showcase both standard and pro functionality. And this is the area where I would love to have some questions. So please do feel free to ask them, and we'll take them as we go. Then I'll talk on how to best implement, give some advice and our best practices around this area. Then I'm going to show some examples for some customers and some of the solutions. And then at last, we'll go through reflections and see what are the things we have learned from doing now up to 10 plus implementations of Employee Center for different customers. Firstly, I really like this slide from ServiceNow where you can really see what is the Employee Center. And I can see from the poll there is 19 people have not moved yet and only 4 people have moved. So we'll keep it pretty, we'll talk a bit more about what is Employee Center and what's the benefits of it as well then. So as you can see on the start here, it's employee experience layer. That's the Employee Center. This is really the top part that connects to all the different areas inside of ServiceNow. You then have connect that to the employee, managers, leaders, administrators. It's all connected. And it both goes to content experiences, delivering good services, and it goes across the entire organization for IT, HR, legal, workplace, and procurement, and many more. So I think this is really to show that Employee Center is the front page for everything. Now, this is how Employee Center looks. We'll go into more deep dive in the demo, but this is how we have just set up. This is how we're going to look at it later. And this is the basic. Certain things you can see on the top, there's a mega menu. On the front, there's this content banner, several other functionality in the middle, which is recommended for you, public topics, my active items. We'll go into more depth about this, but this is how it looks very out of the box. I'm gonna actually save these for later, as so many people have not seen the basics, but just to show them, it's a new mega menu which is available, as well as new center which has come with some new updates.
I guess we should do another webinar then, Sandra, for those who has the old one versus the new one, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I will do a mental note on that.
Yeah. So I'll just publish this poll as well to understand if, okay, maybe you've not gone over to Employee Center yet, but are you interested in the standard, the pro, or are you still looking to maybe get inspired? But just before I start the demo, I will showcase this slide, which I really like. This is really to understand how the taxonomy and how it's built up. Here we have then the content, and the content on the top here, which is requests, articles, employee communication, quick links. These are the things you as a customer provide to your employees. All the different areas on a portal provide content. That content can be built in a hierarchical topic structure, the content taxonomy. This is something we'll look at in the demo, but it's building a good structure of this content. In that way, we can then showcase it in different ways. We can then either through the mega menu, also the navigation, we can show it on topic pages we'll look at or homepage widgets. But also we can then use that for search. So this goes through the entire thinking of the Employee Center. How can we build a good topic structure to showcase the content we have? And I see that most people are either some are standard, some are pro, and a lot of people have not decided yet. So I think that is great, because then I will showcase a lot from what's in the standard and the thinking behind it, but then also look at some of the features you can get out of pro, which is not available in standard. So I'll take over the screen sharing. There we go. So first of all, this is the same picture that you saw earlier. So here we have then the main page. The first thing that pops into your eye view is this banner. This banner, I think, is this is a pro functionality, but I think this is one of the greatest tools, which then can be reused later as well.
Could you zoom in a bit, Sandra? Maybe it's just
Yes.
me, but
No, it's probably I have
well, there we go.
quite large screen.
Thanks a lot, man.
Yes. So we then have the banner, which is on the top, which this is a content banner. This showcases different things. Here we have help employee with their journey, return to the office, what's new. But what's important about this one, this is controlled by you as an organization, and this can be controlled depending on the audience. So if I'm working in HR and the people in the background who provides content knows that, then they can push content which is specifically for me as an employee because I'm in HR. Or maybe something different. I'm a regular user. I have a laptop. My laptop has a warranty of 4 years, for example, before I can buy a new one. And if we know this in the side of ServiceNow, then we know, okay, at this date, maybe yesterday, it's gone 4 years. Then I can automatically publish something here that showcase, oh, you can order a new laptop. Here's a link how to, or here's a knowledge article how to. You can have anniversaries, you can have a lot of different stuff here, and it can all be controlled from the background and build great content here. So I think this is one of the really good tools to showcase personalized content. Also, one other area which is crucial is then the top here. This is the mega menu. Here we have IT, we have HR, workspace, finance, and also News Center and your team. We'll talk more about News Center and your team later. This is your organization. So when we click on IT, we can see, okay, here you have this structure I talked about earlier. We have then IT, which is the main topic. When we click in on this, you can see a so-called topic page, which is one of the ways you can find content. And you can see here we have all of these different topics, which then is a type of filter. When I click on hardware here, I only get content which is in hardware. That can goes for requests, articles, etc. And as you can see, we can have you can have different things here, which is more personalized. So if you have an area who's responsible for hardware and they are the ones providing out, then they can have their own area where they can control. And this is all standard functionality on this one. And that's for software. Then it may be a different area that provides it. and they can make their own area as well. As well as we have, for example, typical software, you can also have this other one, which we'll talk about later. And then you can just click in on the actual item. And then, or we'll go back to the front page. Yes, then we go through the rest. HR, you can see it's the same. You also have then onboarding, paying time, and it works the same. As well as you have something called quick links, which can also be push you to a new page. This is the external one, but you can also have quick links to, for example, report an issue or report an incident. Go back to the home page. What else do we find here typically? Search. From our knowledge from different customers, it's a lot of time. It's 50-50. When we've done interviews, we've done research. Certain customers really like to go here to find things, especially newer employees that haven't been on the portal yet that much. They usually go through the structure. That's a reason why that's important. But what we've seen with more knowledgeable or more experienced employees, they rather like to search. And that's why it's so important to have the possibility to do both. Both have the structure where they can find, and when I search now, you can also see that the structure is relevant also for the searching. As you can see here on the top here, you can see accounting, finance, software, and IT. That means this access request is available in all of these topics as well. So when I click on a subtopic, here you have filters that you can use. That filters which is based on the topics you have. Also, with this Employee Center, there is also the new AI search. Maybe we can create a poll for that. How many have moved to AI search on their portal yet? While we do that, the AI search is the new search from ServiceNow. As you can see, it looks a bit different. You can also then, as you see on the top here, you can connect a lot more information. In this Pro version as well, there is also possibility to connect this to SharePoint, where you can actually search on the SharePoint site and get the results inside of ServiceNow through an integration. And that is with the Pro license. AI search is on the standard and works like this. On the top here, you can also see what's called the Genius results, which gives you machine learning that helps find, okay, what service do they think, depending on your search, is the correct one.
So maybe Sandra, now's the time. I don't know if you'll be focusing on it a bit later, but Andrew asked us a question regarding the configuration of this stuff. So is that the same as it was before in Service Portal, using widgets and containers and all that stuff, or could you say?
So, yeah, good question. So it's the same technology. So it's still using the portal technology, but there are certain things, or way more things now, which can be configured in the backend. On, for example, this one can be configured in the backend. A lot of these things can be configured backend instead of in the widgets. Certain things you need, for example, the content on the top here. These can all be configured in the backend. You need to maybe add it to certain pages, But after that, it can all be configured from the back end.
Got it. Thanks. So, Andrew, hope this answers your question. If not, just give us a poke in the chat and we'll do another round.
Yeah, please do. Then we have some more functionality. We then have recommended for you. I really like this one. This recommends content for you. This goes both for knowledge articles and services. This provides the most recommended content depending on your profile. If I'm a IT developer, then I would only get what other IT developers in my organization would actually use, or what they request, what they look at. That goes for a HR professional or a factory worker, etc. It's all depending, and it can be set up on title, organization unit, and this is all depending on what information you have inside on from, for example, AD into ServiceNow. So you can pick on what are the important fields, which should get similar content as well. And you can also configure this here on, should it be every 30 days, should it be longer, or how many similar users. It's all depend on the user group. When we go down here, we have some more functionality. We have then popular topics. This goes and showcases the most popular topics across the enterprise. Here we have hardware, software, site safety, HR. These all depending on what are these the most useful one. And you can see you also have accounting, which is under finance as an example. So this can be very useful for showing what is the hottest right now and what is the most popular topics, where most people go in and click and find their content. Then we have quick links. This gives you the ability to show, like you saw, report an incident. You can also find that here. Also on this page on the right side. This is just a way for you to configure from the background what is the important links. These can both go to external pages, pages in the background, or for example, to services or articles. So here is a way for you to then showcase them on the front page, but also on other pages. And you can see here, this is an external link. What we have, also quick links, popular topics recommended for you, search as well, are all standard functionality. When we come to one of the pro functionalities, we have My Applications. This showcases and picks this up from AD or from your Azure, or for example, what are your applications that you have access to? So here I have Cloudia, which is our internal system. We have Google Drive. I have email. So here I can see all the application I have access to. And when I click on them, it actually opens them. So there's a good way to, if you want this to be your one-stop shop, you can directly open other applications from this page. You can also see all applications recently opened and my favorite, and different categories and topics on them. Other important ones, you have announcements here, which is quite similar to the top, but these are standard functionality. Here you can build both announcements, outages, and push information that is important for users that should get out. And here we have also done on certain customers, we also built a different configured or customized it a bit to also show outages and show them in a nice way. So you can see, okay, this is going on right now. You don't need to push an incident for this right now without it's available in front of you, but it's not annoying when it's on a banner on the top, for example. So there's a lot of flexibility around this. One of the items I also really like is this, My Active Items. Here you can see approvals, and you can see my approvals are pushed here into your face. This is important for you. You should do these things. Here we use approval as an example, but maybe I'm not an approver. Maybe I just have tickets. Oh, sorry. Maybe I just have tickets. So then if I don't have approvals, you don't need to show approvals here, but we can then pick and configure from the background what is the most important things. So if I have tickets, maybe they're in awaiting information. Maybe they're waiting for my input. We can then push that information here to make it very clear for the employee that, oh, something is waiting for my input. So if I click on it, I go in and can see it directly. Here, of course, it's on my tasks, which you can see then my approvals. Here you can see all the information on these. You can approve and reject. And here, as an example, you have then a HR task, which is also available here.
So Sander, Anders is chiming in with a question here. He's basically asking, can we target announcements based on location? I mean, that is, can we use geography in terms of how to position content and or announcement? We might expand the question to that. I think it's very well. We have the data, right, in the database.
Yeah, so if we have the data, and most likely you do have the data in your system, so then you can use criteria to then showcase announcements and also this top part, depending, or the audience, as I would call it, to only show certain things if they're in that location. As an example, if there's in one of the offices that that person is allocated to, there's a downtime in the canteen, for example, two of the canteens are not going to be open, and with 1 hour, then we can have an announcement there, or maybe if none of them are open. So that is possible.
I think it's quite a scary example you bring in shutdown of the canteen.
Yeah, for sure. That's a hard one, but it's good to know if there's no canteen, maybe there's not that popular to come into the office.
Yeah. Just kidding, Sandra. Appreciate the answer. I think that was kind of it, Anders. If not, let us know and we'll dive into it. Thanks, Sandra.
Yeah. On this My Active Items, you also have the possibility to add more. So this goes to all ticket types or task types. It can be approvals, tickets. If you have GRC, you can have it here, as well as HR tasks. So these can all be configured and set up depending on your needs. So these are just some examples. Then we have this, My Favorites. This is I really like. This is what a lot of customers have built themselves, or we have done for other customers before it came. And this is also on the top right corner here on My Favorites, which I will click. This gives you a very nice overview of my favorite content. Usually, as we've seen with a lot of employees, they go back to the same content a lot of the time. They go either back to the same article or do the same request a lot of times. And then it's great to have the possibility to favorite it instead of them having to bookmark everything. They can then instead just click favorite on a request. And it's very easy. It can be done both, as you can see on the front page here, or you can just go to, for example, IT and just, okay, this is very important for me, and I favorite this. This you can also, of course, do from the actual service or article. Also, what I would like to showcase, and this is of course standard, one other pro functionality I would like to showcase is this what I call a microsite. This is a way to show, and maybe if you've seen the ServiceNow talk about, this gives the ability to create a specific page with specific information, kind of like a SharePoint site in a way, in this specific topic. So in HR, we can then have a specific topic here, or with information, with links, with other content as well, that is in here. And then you have, for example, all the content down here, like you normally would. You can then have specialized content here, which also, of course, can only be shown to certain audiences if it should only hit certain audience within a specific topic.
So we have a question. So does this kind of converge with the favorite functionality? Simone is asking if that integrates, so to speak, to the subscription functionality. If you subscribe to an audience article, is that relevant in the favorite functionality, or are those completely?
So those two are separate, as far as I'm aware. As the favorite one is a bit different. You see, you have both, but they are different. As when I subscribe, you don't automatically favorite the article. This is probably something you can configure if you want to, but it's two separate things. And one is favorite, and one is, of course, getting updates if there's anything new on it.
Got it.
Hopefully that answers it.
Yeah, I think it does. And if we want to dive into it, we could do that, Simona, and let us know, because then we will, do a POC or something to figure out if there's a meaningful way to connect those. Thanks, Sander.
For sure.
We might want to take another one, actually. That's bringing it more into the abstract regarding, I guess, implementation. But are you up for it?
I'm up for it.
That's excellent. So Morten is writing. So he thinks that Employee Center is very flexible, and I agree with him on that. So with flexibility usually comes a bit of complexity. So the question is, what is the top 3 things to consider to build a robust setup in terms of maintaining and scaling and ensure that this works down the road? That's at least how I interpret your question, Morten. I hope it's all right.
Yes, that is a very good question. I will come back to that later as well, but we can discuss it right now as well. When it comes to make sure what we've seen, the experiences, to get the most out of Employee Center is to really think a bit big, to think about, okay, this is supposed to be the employee portal. This should be across the enterprise. Maybe you're not ready. Maybe you just have IT to start with. Maybe you just have HR to start with. Maybe you have these two or other areas. But it should be like the employee is in the focus. It should not be, for example, if you only have IT, it should not be an IT portal. You should think of the front page like this should be usable for everyone. This should be very specific for me as an employee, and not be, of course, IT can have their area, for example. That's why we have this nice topic structure where under IT, they can, for example, have their area where they can work and provide content. HR can have the same for workplace and finance as an example, but also other areas in your organization. So it's really important to have that in mind to build it scalable, as it's a good thing, because if you build it like this so think about this is employee and it's scalable, you can then add more areas as you go along. Maybe you just start with IT, but you want to get HR, you want to get finance on. It's very easy to then get them on, build them their topic structure, and get building content, and then it will automatically populate all the other content you have here, which then will, my favorites, everything will just be added again. So the user will not they will just know there's one place I need to go, and then I'll find everything. And that is mentality you should have. I think you should have.
Thanks, Sandra.
Especially with the pro, you have even more.
Maybe I could add, because I had an interesting conversation around that subject with another customer a few weeks back. They had 3 teams, one team maintaining ITSM, and one HR, and the third one handling customer service. And everything was included in ServiceNow. And they were maintaining quite strict separated governance in those teams, how to take demands from the business and incorporate that in each specific module. But one of the places they really collaborate tightly was actually to converge into one portal to make sure that the employees had a quite similar user experience around it. And they had a UX designer on each team, and they were actually meeting up and having shared thoughts around how to what is that called? Interpret their taxonomy, how to make sure that the way of structuring information would be quite similar. So that was really interesting, and I think it's key actually once you scale and have multiple people working on different verticals, product-wise or functionality-wise, that you get them together to align on how we implement stuff like this. That's in terms of policy and design guidelines and principles, right? But I think that's a deeper conversation, but I like your question. It's highlighting a very important aspect in terms of making sure that people really adopt this one contact point, basically, for retrieving services. It needs to be a great user experience across all those different enterprise functionalities, right? Just wanted to add that, so yeah.
Yeah, for sure, Mikkel. That's a good point. We then have to just finish this off. We also have one of the newer things which come in November is this Get Support button, which gives you the ability to, this is all configurable, what should be available. Here I just added a phone number, for example. This can be to service desk, etc., etc. And this is something we've seen on customers. They would like to have service desk available, but they don't want to be super easy in your face when you go to the portal. So this is a good middle thing. And also, for example, a link to create an incident form. Just to showcase this as well, my requests. This is the out-of-the-box one. This is very simple, not much about it, but this is one place I'll showcase here in the customer examples where we recommend taking this to the next level and actually customize this one because it's not that great out of the box. One of the newer things, if you have not moved over, is the new ticket view, where you can configure these different to the different task types. So you can pick the fields and these can all be configured. And of course, you have then the activity here, attachment, and also additional details, which is then what you put in this case, the request, which I think is a great way. Instead of having it on the right side taking up a lot of space, it can be its own tab, and activity is the main thing that comes up. And yeah, just quickly go here on the new center. This is a part of Employee Center Pro. Here you can see available, especially for people who like to maybe push into the intranet side. This is a great way to then publish news, which this is, for example, new employees thing, where you can also, these are news articles, which you can favorite, which you again can find in news, which is your own thing. And again, if you like to market it, you can also go here and publish this information in the banner for specific audiences where it's useful. But I think that's mostly what I would like to demo to start with. If there's no other questions, then if there are, we can also go back to it if needed.
Yeah, got it, Sander.
All right. So let's go back to the presentation. All right, I'll just walk through quickly the new features that came in November. One of them was this a pro functionality, which is this banner I showcase. You can look down and see the topic level. Here you can do this even one more layer. So the original, it's 3 layers. It's the, for example, IT, then you have access, and then you have one more. But here it gives you, for example, help center, where you can have then human resources, and then you can have the other level. So it gives you one more level. And this is something we've done for one of the customers who needed this scalability and this many levels to showcase the different topic structures. And as well as the news center, you can see then this is how it would look if we had some more news. And also company announcements is also possible. And now, of course, how do you, as many of you have not implemented yet, this is a great how to implement Employee Center. So we like to do this, or our recommendation, as Mikkel also said, this with UX designers. And this is something we have been using, and we recommend all customers doing. We have then set up a procedure with following certain steps, which we recommend to have a good understanding of your users. That's the most important thing, to understand your users, to then create a good portal from it. So I will just go through the procedures. We then divide into 2 things. We have then the solutioning stage with different phases, and then the technical stage with a couple more phases. And I will go into a bit more elaborated on the different stages. So we have phase 1, where we recommend, or where we usually go in and look at, okay, what is the target audience? What is the portal application? Is it IT? Is it HR? Is there any other areas? And what are the typical employees that use the portal? Or what would you like, or what people would you like to use it? And then after that, we recommend going through what are the features. As I showed you a lot of features on the portal in the demo. You don't need to use all of them, but what are the ones we have? For example, if you only have standard, you have to work with those. But if you have pro, then you have more to go from, and then you can have to pick the ones that you think are needed. Or maybe you've already built some that are great, and that's why we have the walkthrough of the customer current portals, is to look at, okay, what have you built before? Have you built any great things, or is it just out of the box? Is it not really something you have to take with you? Then, of course, it's not really necessary, but it's important to understand where are we now and where do we want to get to, and to migrate it if it's needed. And then we have one of the activities we recommend to most of our customers. This is doing a persona. So a persona, or a proto-persona definition, this is to create a user or an imaginary user. For example, in retail, for example, or where you have people working out in the stores, for example. This is, what is the typical, do they have a PC? Do they not? Do they have a shared PC? What are the typical behaviors of them? Are probably different from, for example, an office worker who sits on the computer most of the day. What are the needs and pain points on these different personas, which is most normal in your company, and understand them. And of course, we know best. Usually we know our users, but it's always nice to check, are we actually correct? That's why we recommend doing interviews, to actually check, do we know our users as well as we think or not? And then doing interviews to really understand their pain points and needs directly from them, and double checking that our understanding is correct. And these have gotten great insight on the different organizations, because it really is a big difference on the culture. And then, of course, what is a portal without a great foundation? And this is really about building this taxonomy definition. We recommend going through really discussing what is how should we build it up? Because as you saw in the demo, it's really relevant in all the different ways we show content. And then, of course, we recommend activating AI search always if you're first going to build a portal project. And then we come to prototyping. This is the place I've saved the most time, but also gotten the most great feedback from, is the prototyping. Using a designer to actually prototype and make the design in a system like Figma before you implement. You save so much time, both in the implementation, but you can also then take, this is how it's going to look, to stakeholders, to committee, get it tested before you actually do anything in the system. And in the fraction of the time, which you also save in the implementation, it's I think it's a no-brainer if you're going to do a portal project. And of course, it depends on how big the project is, or how big the portal project is, but it can be a big one or a small one depending on your needs. And then you can also, of course, make it really your own by using the experience from designers. And then the easiest part, would say, the simple part, is actually implementation. As I've talked about, there's a lot of configuration and not a lot of customization in the implementation. But without thinking about all of these different stages, and first, you're not going to do this very good for your users, or very fast as well, because they're all dependent on each other. And of course, then the taxonomy implementation, as I discussed earlier, this can be done again with the different areas, as long as you build a good baseline and governance. Then we go into some examples. And if you have any question, please post them in the questions, and I'll take them after the examples.
So this is actual Employee Center pages, right?
Yeah, so these two next ones are just a prototype to showcase this is how we could make a prototype, and we can make it two different ways. As you can see, this is reusing the same functionality, but showcasing them in two different ways. They're very similar, but one is a bit different. So these are some of the things we can do and try to elevate the look and feel of the portal with the use of UX designers without having to change too much, and just reusing some of the great functionalities that are available. But then we come to actual customer examples. Here we have one customer. Here you can see they are keeping it quite simple. On the front page, not too much going on, but they have search in the center. And this customer, as an example, 85% of the users use search. So of course, then search is going to be one of the main key areas. But they also have on the top, as you can see, have a wide structure or topic hierarchy for their users. But where they have built a bit more is, for example, on my cases or the tickets, where they've had taken it out of the box and said, okay, this is not good enough. We would like to then push it to the next level, where we have types, we have different views, which can be then I'm on watch list, for example, etc. But also have the search criteria with filters, so you can see, and then it filters. And then, as you can see on here, you can see we have even more information. We have then created estimate delivery, etc. And also there, even a case handler, which I know is for some customers are quite scary. And of course, you can also have then, they have the export button, so people can actually export things out if they like. Here you can see also the ticket page, as I showed earlier on there, but they have then taken that to the next level. They have built certain things which was great before, which we wanted to bring in. For example, these buttons we had here. For example, the request this service again. This is a button that actually pre-fills the service again for you. So if you have a long form of maybe 40 fields, this button can actually fill in all of these different things for you, and you can just click submit or maybe change certain things and then submit. Real time saver, which is something we've done for this customer as an example. But then you can also see down here, you have activity attachment, input details, watch list, booking administrator in administration. This is also where you can then build out a lot of functionality in the ticket, depending on the different scenarios you have. And also here you can see how we took the approvals, as I showed earlier, to the next level with a bit different view, but also to show attachments and show the information in a bit different way. And then a different customer, as you can see, there's a lot of the same functionality, but they change the layout and they have a bit different. Here they have current status, they have planned maintenance, and have it a bit different. And this is one of the topic pages. And then this is just an article page. So that's just some customer examples. We have done many more as well, but just to give some inspiration as well. Then on some reflections and also how to decide on standard versus pro. So to just go through standard, I think it's a great starting point. If you're not moved yet and still a bit uncertain on standard pro, I would say it's a great starting point on the journey. It gives you that unified portal for all your employees, which I think is the main important thing for everyone, as it's really not possible with the service portal if you haven't customized it a lot. And also there is a lot of personalized content as recommended for you and other ones that you can build. But of course, with the Pro, and I know also that are more coming, there are a lot of updates every quarter with the applications, both for standard and Pro. But Pro is coming with more and more functionality that will be available. And some of the Pros can be used as an intranet. A lot of people have old intranets, which is some are great, some are not that great. And with all the functionality, I'm seeing it more and more can be used as an intranet for sure. And of course, you have more personal content and communication, which is some of the good pros about it. And of course, you have more functionality and more functionality coming every quarter. Also have this one, which is also showcasing exactly what's the different things. I'll just give it, so part of the things are, enterprise search, manager hub, as well as content experience. And then you also have experience feedback, which is something that is coming now soon to help gather feedback on experiences, both on content, but also the experience in general. So use the last couple of minutes here to just give some lessons learned from our different implementations. It's as Morten said earlier a bit on the governance in the question. Governance is really important, and it's important to be end user has to be in focus, and you have to build a governance. Who owns the portal, and to make sure that this doesn't become an IT portal. It doesn't get the HR portal, but you can take people from IT, HR, and other areas to have a group who has the governance over the entire thing, but to make sure it's an enterprise portal and not becomes one of the other. And then what I've seen also is to plan big. Plan what you want it to be in the end. And then you can, of course, scale down on what you actually implement. But plan and think big on what is the end goal with the implementation. And then you can just do it in steps. Maybe you don't have Pro license yet, but you would like to. Maybe you would like to be intranet one day, but do it in steps. But plan and maybe prototype for the end to showcase, and also how to sell it to your organization is doing the prototypes, doing inspiration to take to your stakeholders And I think that is really where you can win a lot in your organization. Because I know from experience with other customers, it's hard to sell it on this portal and such, especially if you had a portal which was not that much used in the past. But when you go live with something, then it's important to have certain stakeholders on your site who also publishes about it internally. And then, of course, the value of user feedback. To really understand, also to have stakeholder or a user group that you test with is really great because they give you feedback straight away before you actually implement anything. And these are certain, for sure, very important to have a good portal project. And then, yeah, if there's any questions left.
Thank you very much, Sander. I think we had quite a few questions during the session. I really appreciate that. If you have any thoughts, please feel free to drop them in the chat or pull them in the questions tab.